So unless you've been living under a rock for the past few days, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you've heard about the announcement of Evloev versus Murphy on March 21st. If by some miracle you had not heard the news, congratulations, you're welcome. I just broke it for you. Get the hell out of here. I'll see you later. Now, Evloev versus Murphy, an absolute banger of a fight. Mwah! My hat's off to the chef. Can't wait to see it. But we're not going to talk about the actual fight here today. No, my friends. We're going to talk about the announcement, the timing of the announcement, and what we can infer from those things on behalf of the UFC. Specifically, it was announced 2 days after Volk's title defense. Now, this fight was not magically finalized on Sunday and Monday was the soonest they could get the news out to us. No, this fight would have been finalized well in the past. But for whatever reason, the UFC decided to sit on the news until after the title fight had taken place, almost as if they were hoping for one outcome before announcing this fight. Anyway, let's move on, because in addition to that, normally after a title fight, the top contenders are usually spending all day Sunday just yapping online, trying to make their case for the next title shot. Who's going to get the shot? I get it. No, I get it. You don't deserve it. I deserve it. Yeah. Whatever. Bunch of online keyboard warriors. Everyone's a keyboard warrior on Sunday. But not this Sunday, because everyone's already booked up. In addition to the weird timing of the fight announcement, we can also assume that the UFC wanted Lopez to win that fight against Volk. And if you don't believe me, Volk's only getting older. He's not going to be around forever. They want a younger champion. They want a Mexican champion. They were hoping to promote the new champion as soon as they could. But Volk had to screw up their plans. And if you don't believe me that they wanted Lopez to win, then why did they even give Lopez the rematch in the first place? Lopez did not deserve this rematch. Murphy deserved it more. Evloev certainly deserved it more, but not Lopez. You only give Lopez the undeserved rematch if you want him to win, if you're hoping he wins that fight. So the UFC was putting all their eggs in Lopez's basket, but they ended up betting on the wrong horse. And as I touched on earlier, it's no secret the UFC wants a Mexican champion. They want that Mexican fight market. Fighting is huge in Mexico, particularly boxing. They're trying to raise the MMA awareness in the country, and nothing would do that better than having a reigning, defending Mexican champion. I mean, just look at Yair's interim title defense, or interim title fight, I should say. He definitely didn't deserve that thing, but he got it anyway. He won it, and then they're parading him around like a Mexican champion, even though he's got a fake belt around his waist. Speaking of Yair, where the heck is this guy? He's been out for like almost a year, hasn't fought since April of 2025. He's got no fight booked. It's almost like he's sitting out waiting for something. Waiting for a title shot maybe? Because I don't know if you remember, but I sure do. When Yair beat Pitbull, if we can take him at his word, he was promised a title fight after that fight. So he was promised a title fight in April of 2025. Just saying, it's starting to stink like Yair is sitting out because he's been told he's got the next title shot. Additionally, now, let's play a game I like to call Pretend You're the Evil CEO of the UFC. And keep in mind, while we're playing this game, meritocracy means absolutely zilch behind the matchmaking doors while you're making matches. So, look into your UFC crystal ball as the evil CEO of the UFC and try to imagine what the UFC's plans were for the featherweight division prior to UFC 325. I'll give you a minute to get your minds going, but I won't give you too long so that your minds overheat and you pass out. Okay, you should have something in your mind along the lines of the UFC was hoping that Lopez would beat Volk so that they could make Lopez versus Yair at Noche UFC 2026. That is 100%, I guarantee, what the UFC wanted to happen. If they had one wish for UFC 325, it would have been that Lopez wins the title to set in motion their plans for Noche UFC 2026. But Volk, good old Volk, screwing stuff up like always. He ruins the UFC plans. Now they're running damage control. Now they have to make a course correction to get back on track for that mystical UFC Noche Mexican champion moment they're hoping so desperately to have. So how does the UFC get there from here with Volk screwing everything up? Well, now they announce Evloev versus Murphy. But they leave out one very key detail that most people just kind of assume, but the UFC very specifically did not include that the winner of this fight is going to get a title shot. Now, neither of these guys is known for fireworks. The UFC is actually banking on that. I guarantee you, the UFC is putting their money on Evloev and Murphy going out there, laying an absolute stinker on March 21st, having a fight so bad no one wants to see either of them near a title fight for the rest of their career. And if that happens, if Murphy and Evloev have the fight of, not the century, but the fight no one wanted to see of the century, don't be surprised to see old-ass Volk walking out to mariachi and sombreros, drinking a cerveza in September, fighting Yair at Noche UFC.